to share with all of you for the next 1 hour or maybe less than 1 hour will be on something like this or similar small molecules. Okay, so I will not go into large molecules like the polymers or like the proteins and DNAs and so on. Okay, but before I go into the organic chemistry, the details of organic chemistry and the details of organic synthesis, I just want to ask a question on what is chemistry. Okay, what is chemistry? So do not answer that it is the most difficult subject in your undergraduate years. Okay, so chemistry is actually a study of matter. And what is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. So in other words, we are actually matter. Okay, so a study to understand how life works and also how life processes. So you might not be aware, but actually everything that you hear, see, smell, taste, or even touch actually involves chemistry and chemical constituents. So there are many branches of chemistry. Nowadays, we have modern branches of chemistry like the medicinal chemistry, pharmaceutical chemistry, but the conventional main branches of chemistry are actually organic chemistry, inorganic, physical, analytical, and biochemistry. Okay, so among these 5 branches of chemistry, which one do you think are the most difficult branch of chemistry? I have been asking these questions to quite a number of my students for the past many years, but I do not know whether it's the truth or not. They always say organic chemistry is difficult. Okay, maybe because I'm the one teaching them organic chemistry, I do not know. But if we ask Mr. Google or we looked into the internet or website, there are quite a number of cartoon characters or caricatures indicating that organic chemistry is difficult, or maybe organic chemistry is interesting actually. Okay, so there are reasons to a lot of things based on organic chemistry, and there are also many textbooks outside there in the market which we can find that implies organic chemistry are difficult. You can find organic chemistry textbook for dummies actually. So I do not know what the truth is, but it all depends on the individual. But if you ask me, I would say physical chemistry is the most difficult branch. But whatever they are, organic molecules are very significant in our life. The food that we consume are actually made up of organic molecules. We might not realize that, but actually they do. Okay, so we come across many things in everyday life that consists of organic molecules: fertilizers, pesticides, preservatives, additives, even materials or clothing that we wear, the polymers, coating dyes, they are all made up of organic molecules. Okay, our modern industry, the petrochemical industry, pharmaceutical industry, the drugs that you use or you take, the medicine, the supplement, they are all made up of organic compounds, organic molecules. The Panadols that you take, aspirin, Nurofen, they are all organic compounds. Okay, so organic chemistry is actually a study to understand the chemistry of life. We, the organic chemists, can work with almost everybody. We can work with all scientists. We can work with physicists. We can work with mathematicians to understand how molecules behave. And we can work with biologists to understand how molecules determine life processes. And this is what we call multidisciplinary work. We can even work with non-scientists. We can work with non-sciences. We can work together with chefs. We can help out chefs to create a better flavor in their food or to make their food last longer. And this is what we call transdisciplinary work. So we can work with almost everybody to make the whole processes complete. So do you know that currently there are 7 million known organic molecules in the world? And there are about 1.5 million inorganic molecules. I'm sorry, inorganic chemists, but there are only 1.5 million inorganic molecules. But actually, inorganic molecules are made up of organic molecules. It's just that you have to couple them or complex them with metal ions. So these organic molecules, they can be found in different forms in our lives. They can be in diversified properties. They can be in the form of crystals, oils, waxes, solids, liquids. They can even be in the form of elastics or plastics. So there are many forms that can be found. Now, I include here some examples of small organic molecules which are found in nature. Okay, this is a structure of vitamin A aldehyde, which is the common and the main constituent in our eye retina. And this is the structure of serotonin. Serotonin is actually a human neurotransmitter. It is our feel-good hormone actually in our body. Serotonin and endorphin. Okay, endorphin is a little bit bigger. I don't consider it to be that small molecule. But serotonin and endorphin both are our that contributes to our happy mood. Okay, so if you want to be happy, make sure that you secrete more of the serotonin and endorphin. Exercise more, and you have more of them being secreted. Jasmine, this is a structure of jasmine. Specifically, it is a cis jasmine that contributes to that sweet smell of jasmine flower. And this is the structure of damascenone that contributes to the smell of roses. And this is the structure of quinine, which is an anti-malaria drug. This is a natural compound. It can be isolated from Gicona tree. Okay, so not all organic compounds, small organic compounds, have that sweet and nice smell, okay, or sweet and nice taste. But there are some organic compounds which have bad reputations. Okay, so here are some examples of those molecules which are considered to be having the worst smell in the world. Thioacetone, ethane thiol as an example. They are small molecules. They contains only 3 carbons and 2 carbons respectively. Normally, compounds with sulfur atom have bad smell. So thioacetane, ethane thiol, has been described by a group of British chemists in Leeds in a soap industry, if I'm not mistaken, in 1890 to have a very fearful smell. So what happens actually in 1890, there was an accident, there was a mishap. They spilled out thioacetone and ethane thiol during the production of their soap. So the whole factory was in bad smell for nearly 5 to 6 months. Okay, so another incident is by ESO researchers in Oxford, UK in 1967. They described these 2 molecules as beyond their worst expectations. So another example is skunk. If you all know skunk is an animal which have a special defense mechanisms. Do not try to make skunk angry or anxious. They will emit a certain kind of spray or liquid, which is an aliphatic compound containing sulfur atoms, which has a very pungent smell. Okay, that is skunk. At the bottom here, I've included here a newspaper article. This is a true story. This happens in April 2018 in Melbourne Library. Hundreds of those in the library evacuated the library thinking that there was a gas leak. But actually, they discovered that it's a smell of durian. Maybe ada someone dispose kulit durian and biji durian outside the library. I do not know. But the smell of durian is actually due to the ethane thiol, a substituted ethane thiol. But sometimes durian have very nice smell, kalau you all notice. Okay, so that is because durian also have ester in it. So the most common ester in durian is actually ethyl methyl butanoate. Okay, so those durian lovers, they can smell the ester better than the ethane thiol. Okay, so these are some examples of small molecules and how they contribute to our daily life. Organic molecules plays significant roles in industries. I know, I'm sure everybody knows about this by now. Chemistry-based companies such as drugs and pharmaceutical industries, they make organic molecules from a few kilograms to thousands of tons per year. Petrochemical industries also contributes to our economic growth. Paint industries like the DuPont, Monsanto, ICI, they really make money out of organic chemistry or organic molecules. They produce more than 10 billion ringgit Malaysia a year. Okay. Another example is the flavors and fragrance industries, such as the international flavors and fragrances in the US and also in Switzerland. They produce quite a big range or a large range of fine chemicals for perfumes, cosmetics, and also food industries. So here I've included some examples of those molecules which have nice smell or nice aroma. Methylpyrazine gives that coffee aroma for those who are coffee lovers. This is actually the smell that you you breathe in every morning. Okay, this is corylone, roasted caramel aroma. This is a structure of vanillin, and this is a structure of menthol, and this is actually the structure of your sweetener, which is aspartame, or another name for it is NutraSweet. Okay. Pharmaceutical industries, every year they produce drugs and medicinal products, either supplements, medicines, control items of many different kinds. So some examples include ranitidine. So this is ranitidine. It is used for gastritis and for ulcer treatment. They sold more than 6 billion Malaysian ringgit per year, but now they have competition because there's quite a number of other ulcer treatment medication. And this is the structure of Viagra. Okay, Viagra has a molecular weight of nearly 500 grams per mole. If you do not know what Viagra is, you can ask Dr. Google. Okay, you can ask Dr. Google what Viagra is. This is atenolol. Atenolol is ubat darah tinggi. It is used to treat and prevent hypertension. So here are just some examples that the medicine that we have, which involves organic molecules. Now, what is synthesis? Okay, synthesis is actually to make. So to synthesize means to make. But organic chemists refer to or define synthesis as the process of making a desired compound using chemical reactions. So normally more than one steps are involved. I like to give a quote definitions by Professor Nicolau on what is organic synthesis and who our organic synthetic chemists are. So according to Professor Nicolau, before that, Professor Nicolau is quite a famous organic synthetic chemist, a professor of chemistry from Rice University in Houston, Texas. He is responsible for the synthesis of many natural complex molecules, which include Taxol. In 2016, he, together with 6 other scientists and researchers, received a Wolf Prize, which is quite a prestigious award in chemistry. So, according to Professor Nicolau, he published this in the Proceeding of the Royal Society in 2013. Organic synthesis is actually the art and science of replicating molecules of living nature and creating others like them in the laboratory. And according to him, organic synthetic chemists have the power to replicate some of the most intriguing molecules of living nature in the laboratory and apply their developed synthetic strategies and technologies to construct variations of them. So that his definition. So in other words, what he's trying to say is that organic synthetic chemist has the ability, has the knowledge, has the skill to synthesize or to make molecules from nature, and at the same time derivatives of these particular molecules and make these derivatives to have a better potential or a better impact than the natural constituents. Okay, so that is actually the definition of organic synthetic chemist. And I do not know why tak ramai orang wants to be an organic synthetic chemist. Okay, so now we go to a little bit technical on this. What is asymmetric synthesis? Asymmetric synthesis, okay, many therapeutics natural products atau bioactive natural compounds, many drugs, medicines, okay, that we have come across, that we looked at examples just now, they exist in their enantiomeric forms. What are enantiomers? So enantiomers, for those who have no chemistry or not chemistry background, enantiomers are actually molecules having the same atoms in it, the same number of atoms, the same design of the atoms, and also the structure of the molecules, but some of the atoms in the molecules have different orientation in space. Because of this different orientation in space, these molecules have different biological activities or therapeutic abilities. So I will give you an example. I like to give an example of thalidomide. Thalidomide is a chiral molecule. Chiral molecule meaning it has a chiral center. The chiral center in thalidomide, these two molecules are the same, the one on the left and the one on the right. But I have labeled the chiral center or the chiral carbon with the green arrows. What I meant by different orientation in space, look at the chiral carbon. The atoms around the chiral carbons have different orientation in space. Cara dia berpusing is different from one on the left and on the right. The concept of these enantiomers are similar to the concept of your left hand and your right hand. They are mirror images to one another. They are the same, but actually they are not the same. So now the significance of having a chiral compounds, they have the same chemical properties, but they have different biological properties. Thalidomide was first marketed in Germany in 1957 as a remedy, as a medicine, as a sedative to fight morning sickness, especially among expecting ladies ataupun pregnant women. Okay, thalidomide on the left is an R enantiomer and on the right is an S enantiomer. The R enantiomer is the sedative, the cure, the remedy, but the S enantiomer is a human teratogen. It's a poison. Okay, human teratogen meaning that it can alter the DNA of human. So when it was first marketed in Germany in 1957, it was fine. But later they discovered that in the end of the 1950s, many children were born with flipper-like limbs. They have short hands. And these babies are called thalidomide babies. So the medical team, the scientists there were confused what actually happens because they use the R enantiomer. So what actually happened is that the R enantiomer can undergo racemization in our body, especially in acidic condition. Our stomach has a pH, very low pH. So what happens in the stomach is that the R enantiomer undergo racemization to produce the S enantiomer. So that's what's happened. That is why quite a number of thalidomide babies were being born by those women taking thalidomide, the R enantiomer. So what I wanted to point out here is that it is very, very significant for an organic synthetic chemist to synthesize molecules with the correct molecular conformation or structural configuration. Okay, do not try to produce a different configuration and it may cause a different effect. Okay, another example of chiral compounds with different properties are limonene. The R-limonene has that fresh orange-like odor, but the S-limonene has that turpentine-like odor, it's like a lemon. So again, these two, they are chiral molecules or isomers, and they are different in physical and chemical properties, but normally in biological properties, they are the same in physical and chemical, but different in biological properties. Okay, what will the organic synthetic chemist do in order to synthesize a molecule? Okay, because we looked at the definition by Nicolau that we can design and create and make organic compounds. So I give you an example, streptopyrrolidine. I like to use this example because it's a simple molecule and the steps involved are also simple. Streptopyrrolidine is a natural compound. It's a natural molecule. It is an angiogenesis inhibitor. It has the ability to inhibit the formation of new blood vessels in tumor. So that means it will prevent the tumor from getting bigger or in advanced stage. So streptopyrrolidine has been isolated from a deep sea bacteria called Streptomyces species. So if we want to synthesize streptopyrrolidine, what the organic synthetic chemists do, usually we have to do retrosynthetic analysis. What is retrosynthetic analysis? We have to break the molecules. Okay, if this is the streptopyrrolidine, we have to break the molecules parts by parts, or what the organic chemists describe as functional groups by functional group, in a certain sequence until we come up with a readily available starting materials which are cheap and can be obtained in bulk from a chemical supplier. So retrosynthetic analysis is actually a reverse engineering. We can do this on paper. We do not have to go into the lab to do retrosynthetic analysis. It's just theory. So what we do in the lab, we purchase the starting materials, which we buy from a chemical supplier, and in the lab, we work backwards until at the end of the day, using a chemical procedure or chemical reactions, we come up with the target molecules or the natural product that we want to synthesize. So it's very simple, right? Okay, so that's what we do. So in the lab. So I will not go into the chemistry of all this. We follow the procedure that we have outlined in the retrosynthetic analysis, and at the end of the day, we should be able to obtain the target molecule, which is the streptopyrrolidine. Now, if you look at the structure of streptopyrrolidine, there are two chiral centers. When there are two chiral centers, there are a possibility of forming 4 isomers. So, for an organic synthetic chemist, in order to prevent the history of thalidomide being repeated, we have to be able to know how to control the reaction scheme, the reaction sequence, the reaction mechanism, so that we obtain the target molecule with the right molecular conformation and structural configuration. Okay, so what we do for our these activities, we in the last step we perform a sterol control reduction reaction using sodium triacetoxyborohydride. We managed to obtain the cis isomers as the major product compared to the trans isomers. Okay, the cis isomers consist of the 4R, 5R, and the 4S, 5S isomers. And eventually we can separate the two cis isomers using HPLC techniques and also recrystallization. And we obtain the natural streptopyrrolidine as the major product. The unnatural streptopyrrolidine is considered not to be a waste. It can still be used. It can be used as an intermediate towards another bioactive natural product, which is pyrrusine and antifungal alkaloids. So there are many ways to actually control the reaction steps and reaction sequence. You can either use chiral molecules or chiral starting materials, or you can use chiral auxiliaries. You can use enantioselective reactions or regioselective or stereoselective reagents, or you can use catalysts. There are many catalysts actually that can be used. You can either use a biocatalyst or enzyme, organocatalyst, a metal catalyst. Organic synthetic chemists should be able to know, they should have that knowledge on how to control the reactions in order to produce the desired product. Okay, so that is what basically an organic synthetic chemist do in order to synthesize a specific molecule. I will not go into details of pachydermine. I do not want to make yourself more confused. Okay, I would like to share a bit about our institute, which is Institute of Science or IOS in UiTM, and what actually we do in our lab. And I will show you some examples of what are the things that we do, the molecules that we synthesize, which have actually some properties in a natural environment. Okay, Institute of Science is one of the centers of excellence in UiTM, and it was established in 2004. We do a lot of fundamental research and multidisciplinary type of research. So we have physicists, chemists, biologists, and some engineers in our institute. We have 13 laboratories and 3 centers. And the 3 centers are Center for Functional Materials and Nanotechnology, Center for Chemical Synthesis and Polymer Technology, and Center of Astrophysics and Applied Radiation. But we, the Organic Synthesis Research Group, actually belongs to the Center of Chemical Synthesis and Polymer Technology. So this center can be divided further into 2 big groups, the Synthesis and Chemical Biology Group, and also the Polymer Technology Group. So these are the researchers in the Synthesis and Chemical Biology Group. The head is Prof. Sazali. We have some researchers, myself, Dr. Fazli, Dr. Karima, Dr. Hana, and our associate members, Dr. Tajuddin and Dr. Hidayah. And our labs, there are 3 labs. Out of the 13 labs in iOS, 3 labs is under the Synthesis and Chemical Biology Group. The 3 labs are the Organic Synthesis Research Lab. The Organic Synthesis Research Lab is not in Shah Alam campus. It is in Puncak Alam campus, but our Microbiology and Tissue Culture Lab is in Shah Alam campus. Our lab consists of the basic instruments for organic synthesis research work. We have NMR, mass spec, HPLC, FTIR, elemental analyzer, polarimeter, and microwave reactor. And just to share a bit about what we do in our lab, currently we do a lot of 5-membered nitrogen heterocycles with a pyrrolidine ring system. We synthesize and do a lot of chemical exploration on pyrrolidinone type of molecules, fuse ring system based on pyrrolidinone ring. I will show you examples of pyrrolidinone ring later and their applications. We also synthesize compounds with various applications for therapeutic agents or organocatalysts or ionic liquids. Okay, I have here an aerial view of the Puncak Alam campus. Okay, so we are actually the Organic Synthesis Lab is actually in Fakulti Sains Kesihatan building, which is here on the right bottom hand corner of the picture, and we are at the level 9, which is the topmost level in that building. Okay, so what is pyrrolidine dione? Pyrrolidine dione, or specifically pyrrolidine 2,4-dione, I'm focusing only on pyrrolidine 2,4-dione, not on 2,3 or 2,5, also known as tetramic acid. If you can remember just now when I talked about streptopyrrolidine actually have that tetramic acid ring moiety. There are quite a number of natural compounds that have this tetramic acid ring system. Okay, and some examples include oxiracetam, which is a nootropic drug. And if we break up this amide bond in the ring system, we can open up the ring system to form the famous GABA, which is gamma amino acids. And for the last 15 years, or maybe more than 15 years, we have quite a number of postgraduate students and also researchers synthesizing or do total synthesis of bioactive natural compounds with such ring systems. We had students synthesizing pyrosin, which is an antifungal alkaloid, lactacystine, an antiproteasome drug, streptopyrrolidine, which I've mentioned just now, codonopsinine, which is an antihypertensive drug, which is quite similar to that atenolol just now, decidamide C, which is protein phosphatase inhibitor. And I had a students who did on synthetic exploration of acetyl tetramic acid. She synthesized a series of these particular hydroxybenzylated acetyl tetramic acid, which actually belongs to the family of Leucocarpus fragilis. And these molecules actually mimics the photoreceptors of our retina cell, okay, that is in our eyes. And I also had a students who did some synthetic exploration on nimenopride. Nimenopride is an antipsychotic drug, which is a known antipsychotic drug. It is used for treatment of schizophrenia. And I had also a students who synthesized a fused ring system. That means you have two rings fused together at a common bond. These are the examples of the fused ring system. These fused ring systems is actually a derivative to omorolide. Omorolide is a natural compound. Remember, Professor Nicolau stated that we have the ability to synthesize derivatives of the natural compound. So this is what we did. Omorolide has a therapeutic ability to treat neurodegenerative diseases such as the Alzheimer's and also the Parkinson's. Okay. For the past 15 years, we do a lot of synthetic exploration on not only 2,4 system but also 2,3 system, and we publish quite a number of publications on this. But the last 7-6 years, we start to venture into synthesizing fused ring system. So we had students synthesizing lacton-lactam, oxazolidinol-lactam, pyrroliquinoline ring system, and quinolactacine. Quinolactacine is also another series of fungal alkaloids which has the ability to inhibit activity of a tumor necrosis or tumor necrosis factor production. I had a student who's supposed to synthesize quinolactacine via active exocyclic double bond, but when she did her attachment in National Health Research Institute, she changed her synthetic route via imine and enamine intermediates. But currently, I had another student synthesizing via active exocyclic double bond, but also using alza-disolder. So, besides the tetramic acid ring system, our group also synthesized other bioactive bicyclic and tricyclic systems. We synthesize benzofuran type of compounds. We synthesize bioactive flavonoids. We had a student synthesize pinosembrin and pinostrobin, which is a natural antioxidant and also a synthetic drug for leukemia in just 3 steps. Okay. And we also synthesize organocatalysts for aldol condensation reactions. And recently, we have a postdoc and also quite a number of postgraduate students synthesize pyrrolidine-based immunosugars. Immunosugars are actually amino derivatives of the common sugar molecules. Okay, instead of having the oxygen, you have a nitrogen in the sugar molecules. But this is a pyrrolidine base, so it is a 5-membered, not the normal sugar molecules, which is a 6-membered. And we also help the industry. This is what we did in 2014, maybe before that, because we signed MOA with SAMDA. We helped out SAMDA in 2014 to 2015. They approached us a few years back because they produce L-cubraquitol in quite a large amount during their rubber production, and they do not know what to do with it because it doesn't have any benefits, the L-cubraquitol. So what we did is we helped them converting the L-cubraquitol to something more useful, We convert it to L-inositol, which is a carboxylic sugar, which is commonly found in our brain and mammals tissues. We also convert the L-cubic-ketol to mannitol, which is also a type of sugar alcohol used in quite a number of medicine, and also inositol triphosphates. Okay, and they're happy with it. But the problem with the industry is that we can do the research for them, but in order to produce these in large scale, it's up to the industry's policy whether they can perform a large scale or have a reactor to produce it. Recently, we helped out Petronas. We just signed an MOA with Petronas. We're helping them synthesizing and developing green corrosion inhibitors and chelating agents. We're helping them out with their upstream activities actually. Okay, and we collaborate with FRIM, and we also collaborate with National Health Research Institute in Taiwan. That is where we have sent some of our students for attachment over there. And we recently managed to secure international grants, SATRAPs, together with our collaborators from Universiti Malaya and Universiti Putra Malaysia, and also from Japan, University of Tokyo, NIT, and also Indonesia, BPPT. So SATRAPs is a Japanese government program that promotes international joint research, and we focus on infectious diseases control. Just to share with you some of the pictures that we have in our organic synthesis research lab. So this is our lab in Puncak Alam campus. It's quite big, and we do a lot of activities like workshops, meetings, discussions in our labs. So this is our small meeting room, but actually can occupy quite a number of people. The small meeting room is actually situated at the back here in our organic synthesis lab. And trust me, the view from this window is extremely nice, because we are on the top floor, on the 9th floor, and you can look through this window and we can have a very nice view from it. I will show you later a picture of it. Okay, finally, I would like to thank my colleagues, Professor Ahmad Sazali, Dr. Muhammad Fazli, Dr. Hidayah. Dr. Hidayah was my PhD students before. Our postdocs, our officers, science officers, research officers, and also to UiTM, especially the grant awarding bodies. Okay, the Ministry of Education, SAMDA, Petronas, JICA, and IMED. And these are some of the postgraduate students, past and present, that we have in the lab. And finally, thank you. But remember just now I said we have a nice view from the window of our lab. So this is the picture that I have taken from our lab. It's very nice, it's very therapeutic, it's very green, and our students love to jog around this lake in the evening or in the late afternoon. But they have to be careful not to bring any food around, because there'll be quite a number of followers from the green environment here following them back to the lab. Okay, so thank you. Oh, actually, I would like to thank everybody who are listening in this webinar. This is not the last slide. I have a bonus slide to those who are still with me until the end of this presentation. The last slide is a recipe to synthesize Viagra. Have you asked Dr. Google what Viagra means? Viagra is actually a drug or a medication to treat male erectile dysfunction. So this recipe was a secret before. It was patented. But when the patent was lifted up and it was published in Bioorganic and Medicinal Chemistry Letters in 1996, it is not a secret anymore. Everybody has this recipe. So you can try them if you have. the time and the ability and the chemicals involved. Okay, finally, thank you and Happy New Year and stay safe. Okay, Dr. Fatima, I'll pass the screen back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Zurina, for sharing the insight on the chemistry, especially on the work that she did. All right. So actually, I already I allowed you to unmute yourself. So anyone who have questions or you want to say hi to Prof or whatever it is, then you can unmute yourself. And yeah, you also can write at the chat box your questions.
Anybody wants to ask question? Or share their knowledge?
Yeah, anything. Oh, actually, Dato is around now. Dato Maili, but he actually used his wife phone, so I didn't recognize which one. Let me.
Maybe we have a number here that is 60122 with star 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 88.
Is it? Let's try to unmute.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and good thing is, Alhamdulillah, we reached 196 participants just now. Yeah, congratulations, Prof.
Okay, well, thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Prof. Zurina, congratulations for your fantastic presentation. I'm Hyrule from UM.
Yes, Hyrule, I know you.
Okay. Actually, I just interested to ask one simple question because at the beginning you talk about the reverse engineering concept or retrosynthetic analysis. Since that it can be done in anywhere, not in the lab. Can you suggest any computer simulation apps or whatever that can help on this procedure?
What do you mean by computer simulation? I think nowadays they do have.
Yeah. So any suggestion? What's the most optimum that can give the best route of reaction?
Okay, computer simulation, it's computer ni is actually also depends on the user. The user have to really have the knowledge, the background, the fundamentals in order to use the computer simulation. But you have to recheck what the suggestion made by the computer. Okay, sometimes because computer ni they have all the data in their database, there might some propose synthetic route from the computer simulation that is not possible or not feasible in the lab. So again, the organic synthetic chemists have to look into it one by one and use their own knowledge and jurisdiction to identify which is suitable. But we can use it as a guideline, yes. But it will be good, especially for those who do not know how to start with, because in order to do retrosynthetic analysis, one person will look at the molecule a different way from another person. I might look at synthesizing streptopyrrolidine like the one that I've proposed, but maybe Hyrule, you look at it and you suggest a different route. Am I right?
Yeah, true.
That is why we can see that published in journal articles, one single molecules, but there are many different ways to synthesize it. That's because a different synthetic chemist will look at it a different way, and it's actually like a competition. How a group try to come up with the best possible route, the most economical route. Maybe that we can use the simulations
Okay.
in order to do it.
All right. Okay. So it helps in certain extent.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, welcome. Anyone else?
Prof, there is a question actually in the chat box. So from CTHN. So does team in organic synthesis work on short molecules only? How about polymers?
Polymers, you can synthesize polymers. What do you mean? Organic synthesis? Organic synthesis actually is a very big area. You can synthesize polymer, but you have to look at the individual monomer unit. You have to look at the individual monomer unit, and if the need is there to synthesize the monomer unit via retrosynthetic analysis, then you have to do the monomer unit. Then connecting all the monomers together, that is just a polymerization technique. That is a different reactions which we call functional group interconversion and also chemical reactions involved. Okay, yes, if you ask me about whether does team in IOS works on short molecules only? Yes, we work only in small molecules. We do not synthesize large molecules. But we have a group which is a polymer technology group. So we collaborate with them. They synthesize polymer compounds for applications, but sometimes they need our advice or they need our knowledge to help them out to synthesize a specific polymers that they require. Then we can come into the picture. That is where we collaborate. We call it just now multidisciplinary type of research. Okay?
Okay, I think she was focusing on polymers from nature, but you did answer the question. Another question is from Hashmira Ma'ruf. She said that why do you need to synthesize something?
Oh, why do you need to? Just for fun. No. It's for knowledge creation. For fun is also yes. It all depends. If you an ardent organic synthetic chemist, you will synthesize organic molecules for fun. Trust me. You will have that pleasure. You have that thrill of getting the organic molecules. I could ask Dr. Agus. Dr. Agus, betul tak if I say that? Once you synthesize organic molecules, you'll be very happy. Okay?
Yes, that's true, Prof.
Yes.
Yes, I'm very happy.
But actually, we want to synthesize organic compounds for knowledge creation, because we have organic compounds in nature with specific biological properties or therapeutic abilities. If we can synthesize that particular molecule, if we can also synthesize derivatives of that particular molecule, we hope that the derivatives also have similar potential or a better potential. That is why we have to work together with what Hyrule was saying just now with computer simulation. The derivatives we can send out for computer simulation to see what their bioactivities are, what their therapeutic abilities are. If they are good, if they have that high impact as a medicine or as a drug, by all means, we synthesize them. And we publish, we create new knowledge. Okay, we contribute to the generation of the scientific community and also to the society, actually. Okay, we are scientists, so we have to do that. Furthermore, if you go to the pharmacy, any pharmacy, either commercial pharmacy like the Guardian, Watson, or the specific pharmacy, registered pharmacy, all the drugs, medicine, supplements on the shelves of those pharmacies, do you think that they are natural compounds? They are not. They are synthetic. Because the demand from the society is too huge, too big. Okay? The natural resources does not enough to cater for the requirement by this society. So we have to synthesize. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. I have here, Auntie Jap. This is from Helena from Universiti Hasanuddin, Indonesia.
Yeah.
Helena said, I want to ask, is there any computational chemistry method that used in, tadi I think I've answered that. I think this is similar to what Hyrule was asking just now. correlation to drug molecules. This is what I said just now. We can work together with those doing in silico studies, okay, using what else? Computational studies to identify what other molecules which are relevant or have bioactivity or impact. That is very much related to what Hyrule was asking just now.
Yeah, we have another question here. This is from where is it? I saw just now Bakri. Bakri.
Aku nampak. Bakri mana tadi Bakri?
Here is it. Dekat bawah sikit form yang saya share tu. He said that your wish list in regard to your research area or for organic synthesis in Malaysia at large. What is your wish list?
In regard to your research area for organic synthesis in Malaysia at large. Okay, my wish list to your research area. My wish list is that not only from UiTM. Kalau boleh, we want organic synthetic chemists in Malaysia produce something that has that wow effect, impact factor, that impact to the global society, or some sort like a Nobel Prize winner punya findings. Okay, that is my wish list. Okay, tapi the young ones, the organic synthetic chemists, the young ones here, please do not rasa frustrated when you do organic synthesis. Okay, go ahead, carry on with organic synthetic research work. Okay, because it has potential. Sebab quite a number of organic synthetic chemists in the Malaysia ni, bila dia rasa susah, dia divert into some other areas which are a bit easier. I know organic synthesis is very difficult. It's challenging, but it's worth it. Okay? So, Bakri, does that answer your question?
There are a few more questions there, but I like to seek for all of the participant attention. Could you please just fill the Google form that I gave in the chat box, because we just want to have an idea who is actually participating in our webinar session, right? And yeah, Prof, there are a few questions more there, quite interesting, from Shelly Gapil, University of Malaya.
Okay. Do you ever apply any convergent approach in your synthesis? If yes, what kind of challenges you encountered in doing convergent synthesis? Convergent synthesis, yes. One of our group mates, Dr. Fazli, is doing some convergent synthesis. Okay. And well, convergent synthesis, you really have to know your fundamentals and you really have to know how to control the reactions, because there are quite a number of derivatives involved, and you really know how to focus them into getting what you really want. Okay, but most of the times we do total synthesis, straightforward reactions. Okay. Sometimes convergent synthesis ni kita kena banyak subgroups involved and eventually combine all of them together into one. Okay?
Question from Noraza. Is it Dr. Noraza from FRIM? Ada dekat bawah tu. Remote stereo control on asymmetric carbon is a big challenge in synthesizing an organic compound. How do you overcome this?
We overcome it with difficulties. Ni susah ni. No Azhar, you kena datang our lab lah. Kita have a class or a session or a workshop. Maybe we can have a workshop. Okay? I think we had a workshop before in bila Dr. Agus in 2018, was it? Dr. Agus was there. He was our postdoc there at that time. Because Universiti UiTM considered to be the long-lasting synthetic groups in Malaysia. So we have been doing organic synthesis for many years, and kalau we can share our knowledge or you can share with us whatever you have, we can have workshops together. Okay, maybe you can join us in our we have a synthesis group actually, which we created when we had our international conference on organic synthesis at the end of 2019. Okay, so we should get together. Okay, so Noaza, come to the lab. Kita discuss lagi.
Yeah. Another question. I think Dr. Zaini Haryati. Can you see her message? Her message there, because I saw here it is privately shared. Maybe dia tersalah tekan kot. But let me read. What is the future of organic synthesis chemists in Malaysia? Are we Malaysian producing organic compound as economic commodity?
Okay, like I said just now, the organic compounds that we produce sebenarnya is just a contribution to new knowledge. We can help the industry, we can help the society, but the organic compounds that we produce cannot be used directly. Okay, it cannot be used directly. Apa yang kita produce in the lab, we just cannot give to a layman, anybody outside by the roadside, that compounds that we synthesize. Because everybody should know by now that when we synthesize organic compound for drug, especially for therapeutic ability, these compounds have to go through many stages of trials. Okay, like preclinical testings. Kita synthesize saja dah 3 to 4 years. Okay, preclinical testings will take another 2 to 3 years. Once it's approved, they have to undergo some clinical trials. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. That will take about 6 to 7 years. Kalau ada nasib baik, you can let it undergo FDA approval or FDA review to generate that one FDA approved drug. That will take about 1 to 2 years. So in other words, you will need a total of 10 to 15 years to develop a compound in Malaysia, in a compound that can be marketed to laymen, to anybody outside on the roadside. But maybe it's different in countries, more developed countries like the US, the Europe, or the European countries. Maybe it's faster. But again, the clinical trials will take about 6 to 7 years. Will be still the same. So what Dr. Zaini Haryati was asking just now, what is the future? We cannot see the future immediately. That's what I said just now according to Bakri's question. We hope that the organic synthetic chemist dalam Malaysia bertahan, work something on it, and eventually, maybe in future, 10, 20 years ago, I can see Bakri at the top as a contributor who produced an anti-coronavirus drug. I do not know. Maybe. Okay. So it will not be an immediate, because we are fundamental scientists. Kita duduk kat bawah. Okay. We at the moment, we can only contribute to generation of new knowledge. Okay.
Okay, Prof, thank you. Just now, Dr. Noraza, this is not from Frame, it's from UTM. She clarified in the chat.
Oh, okay,
Alright.
Noraza. Okay. Come over to UiTM lab. Dia dah pernah ada tu. Dia pernah datang to UiTM lab.
I see. There are more actually question ada sikit sana dah. A student just saying hi, I think Nurin Nadia from UiTM. So she mentioned that her major research project is on biochemistry master. Just to inform you. She's there.
Okay.
She's here.
Okay, noted. I'm informed.
Okay, another one from Aizat. So Faris from UiTM. He said that, can you briefly explain about synthesis of thiamine, which is vitamin B1 simply?
Oh, Faris, you have to come to my office. I cannot explain it over here. Okay. So there are a lot of chemistries involved. So you have to come over to UiTM after the PKP, okay? Email me.
Okay, so yeah, we don't have further questions. Maybe this one is, I don't know, where is actually Dato? Let me try to unmute this number.
Datuk missing in action.
Okay. Okay, whatever it is, I think, but we cannot reach him, or else he can join us in the closing. Kita apa kot? I think okay. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. So as I mentioned before, this is our first IKM for the organic and biomolecular section of Institute Kimia Malaysia punya webinar. So if you are interested actually to give a talk, you can email me at the, let me give the email address. Okay, so that is my email address. You can email me and give the, I mean, your idea or input, because basically we want to give opportunity to researchers and also industries, and to encourage more people to love chemistry and see chemistry as in our daily life instead of producing it at the laboratory only. Right. So don't forget to fill the attendance. There is not actually an attendance form. It's just an idea to have an idea who is actually participating in our event. Right. So with that, I think we end our webinar session. Again, please join me to thank you, Prof. Zurina, for being our first speaker for the webinar, and hope to see you again.
Okay, thank you very much for listening and thank you for staying until the end of the presentation. If you want to ask me further any questions, you can just email me. And kalau nak collaborate, you can also email any one of the synthesis group in iOS.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fatima.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone. See ya.
Thank you, Dato, even though we didn't hear anything from Dato.
Yeah, tak pernah satu Datuk, but thank you so much. He tried so hard, I think. Susah teknologi.
Itulah. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.